Alright mates, how's it going? In today's video, chapter 12 of Arthas, Rise of the Lich King. We're halfway through the story now, and it's culling of Stratholme time. So let's get... When Jaina woke up the following morning, Arthas was not next to her. However, he hadn't completely bedden fled. He was just making breakfast for the two of them. And as she sat up and the prince noticed she was awake, he smiled at her. It wasn't a very genuine smile though. His eyes weren't smiley happy eyes. So Jaina kinda half smiled back at him and then moved to get up properly and start combing her hair and stuff. And Arthas then chose this moment to drop a huge bombshell on her. There's something I learned. I didn't want to mention it last night, but you need to know. His voice was flat and his tone was ominous. And although Jaina was glad that he didn't seem so bloody furious anymore, this still somehow felt worse. We knew the grain was infected and that it killed people, but it's worse than that. It doesn't just kill them. It turns them, doesn't it? Please tell me I'm wrong, Arthas. But Arthas didn't tell her she was wrong, because she wasn't. That's why there were so many of them so quickly. The grain reached Hearthglen shortly before we arrived, long enough to be milled and baked into bread. That's why I rushed off yesterday. I know I can't take Mal'Ganis by myself, but I can't just sit around staring at my belly button either. And that prophet, I don't care how powerful you think he is, I can't just leave. As soon as Arthas finished telling Jaina all that, he seemed to be agitated and pissed off again. Where the hell is Uther anyway? He had all night to ride here. But Jaina didn't respond, mainly because it was probably a rhetorical question. But also, she was too busy trying to process the information Arthas had just revealed. Her mind was working 1,000 miles a minute as she desperately tried to understand the scale of this predicament and a way to combat it. And the two of them didn't say another word to each other as they broke camp and headed towards Stratholme. In fact, they made it all the way to the city gates before Uther and his men conveniently caught up with them. Glad you could finally make it, Uther. Now Uther was normally a patient man, but Arthas' sarcasm kind of struck a nerve. The prince wasn't the only one under strain at the moment. Watch your tone with me, boy. You may be a prince, but I'm still your superior as a paladin. As if I could forget. Arthas then made his way up a little mound to get a better look over the top of the city walls. He wasn't even sure what he was looking for. Signs of life, maybe. Signs that they'd made it there in time, and everything was going to be okay. Listen, Uther, there's something about the plague you should know. But then the smell hit him. That strange, sweet, unique scent of plague bread. It was like a punch in the gut. The grain. These people. They've all been infected. Arthas, it's only a matter of time. What the balls are you talking about, lad? Is he off his rocker? No, he's right. If they've eaten the grain, they're infected. And if they're infected, they'll turn. Jaina was now thinking furiously. There had to be something they could do. Antonidas had once told her, if a thing is magical in origin, it can be combated with magic. Everybody just needed to calm down. Apply a bit of logic. Maybe have a brain trust meeting. Perhaps a cure could be, this entire city must be purged. I'm sorry, what? I said, this entire city must be purged. How could you even consider that, Arthas? There's got to be another way. This isn't just a blighted apple crop, it's a city, full of human beings. Damn it, Uther, we have to. Arthas, no, we can't. Listen to me. We don't know how many of them are infected. Some of them might have not even eaten the grain, or they might not have eaten enough of it. We know almost jack shit about this plague. We can't just slaughter them like animals out of fear. The look on Arthas' face kind of said it all. He did not like what Jaina just said. She'd hurt him. With her words. This was the only option as far as he was concerned. I'm trying to protect the innocent, Jaina. That's what I swore to do. These people are innocent. They didn't ask for this. There are children in there, Arthas. And what about the ones that are infected? They'll kill those children. They'll try to kill us and spread out from here and keep killing. They're going to die regardless, Jaina, and when they rise, they'll do things they never ever would have wanted to do. What would you choose? I don't know. Yes, you do. Wouldn't you rather die a clean death, as a thinking, living human being, rather than be raised as an undead to attack everyone and everything you ever loved? Yes, Arthas, that would be my personal choice. But we can't make that choice for them. Yes, we can. We need to purge this city, before any of them turn. It's a kindness, and it's our only solution. Arthas then turned to Uther. As your future king, I order you to purge this city. You're not my king yet, boy, nor would I obey that command even if you were. So it's treason then. Treason? You've lost your damned mind. Have I? Lord Uther, by my right of succession and the sovereignty of my crown, I hereby relieve you of your command and suspend your paladins from service. Arthas, you can't just... It's done. Those of you who have the will to save this land, follow me. The rest of you, kindly f*** off. Jaina felt sick and dizzy. He was actually going to do this. He was going to march into Stratholme and cut down every man, woman and child. And as she looked helplessly towards Uther, she could see the old paladin gritting his teeth and clenching his fists and probably his butt cheeks. Looked like every fibre of his being wanted to beat the shit out of Arthas, but even after being relieved of his command, he was still bound by an oath to serve the prince. So he didn't attack him, but he didn't hold his tongue either. You've just crossed a terrible threshold, Arthas. But Arthas didn't give a shit, just shrugged it off and turned to look at Jaina. And for a moment, as his eyes searched hers, she could see the fear and insecurity in him. I'm sorry, Arthas. I can't watch you do this. And so, as Arthas stood silently, with shocked disbelief all over his face, Uther helped Jaina up to her mount, and off they went. How could she have abandoned him like that? Was she right? Nah, bollocks to that. Because if she was right, then that would mean he was about to become a mass murderer, and that definitely wasn't who he was. Arthas then took a deep breath and looked around. A lot of the men had left with Uther. Too many, to be honest. Would they even be able to take the city with such a small group? Sir, if I may, I would rather be hacked into 1,000 pieces than turn into one of them undead. There were murmurs of agreement amongst the rest who had stayed, which lifted Arthas' spirits a little bit. There is no pleasure in what we do here, only grim necessity. Those within these walls are already dead. We know it, even if they don't. We must kill them quickly and cleanly, before the plague does it for us. It's going to be ugly and painful, but it must be done. Some of the inhabitants had already turned. They were the easy ones. They were the enemy, and nothing more than rabid beasts. But the others, the ones that still lived, well, that was indeed ugly and painful. They stared in confusion and terror as men that were supposed to protect them entered their homes and slaughtered them. And at one point, whilst bringing his hammer down on a boy that was barely out of puberty, Arthas noticed his weapon was definitely not glowing as brightly as it had in the past. And it didn't get any easier as they cut their way through the city either. It got worse. And it was actually somewhat of a relief when some of the citizens of Stratholme took up arms and started fighting back. They still didn't have a chance against soldiers and a trained paladin, but at least it didn't feel as much like a slaughter anymore. I've been waiting for you, young prince. The voice came out of nowhere, and it was deep and evil. I am Mal'Ganis. Arthas couldn't help but feel a little bit pleased that he was Mal'Ganis, mainly because it vindicated him. But there wasn't much time to celebrate as a door to one of the houses flew open, and a horde of undead came tumbling out. As you can see, your people are now mine. I will turn this city household by household, until the flame of life has been snuffed out forever. Not if I have anything to say about it, you twat! But the disturbing presence was then gone, as swiftly as it had come, allowing Arthas and his men to refocus on the task at hand. The prince would never be able to tell exactly how long it took to kill every living and undead person in the city. Felt like it took a while, but eventually it was done. However, despite being absolutely bloody exhausted and covered in blood and bits of people, Arthas knew they had no time to rest. Their true enemy was bound to reappear, and soon enough, he did. And he was enormous, with horns and big old bat wings. Arthas stared, a little bit in disbelief, but also a little bit terrified. 'Twas an actual demon standing before them. But he couldn't let the fear cripple him, so he allowed himself to be filled with a different emotion. Hatred. He thought of those that had fallen to his hammer within the city, and somehow he found the courage he needed. We're going to finish this right now. Brave words. Unfortunately for you, it won't end here. Your journey has just begun. Gather your forces, and meet me in the Arctic land of Northrend. It is there that your true destiny will unfold. My true destiny? What are you... Suddenly, the air around the Dreadlord began to warp and shimmer. Wait! As the prince desperately surged forward to try and stop the inevitable, Mal'Ganis teleported away, and Arthas now stood swinging his faintly glowing hammer at empty air like an idiot. And we're leaving it there! So, I'll let you guys debate in the comments whether you think Arthas was right or not. I mean, it's pure speculation to say what would have happened if he hadn't purged the city. But for one thing, doing it was pretty much exactly what Mal'Ganis wanted. And if you find yourself doing exactly what the bad guy wants, then you're not really winning, are you? As usual, link in the description if you're interested in buying this book. Also, there's links to my Discord server and my Patreon page too. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, all of that bollocks. And all that's left to say is, thanks for watching, and see ya!